They say stories lose their power when they're spoken aloud. That if you give a nightmare a voice, it fades with the dawn. But here, in the dark, we know better. Some stories aren't meant to disappear. Some are meant to be heard, whispered in the quiet hours when the wind moves strange outside your window and the world feels just a little too still. Tonight's story comes from a town where winter means more than cold. A place where the first snowfall isn't a thing of beauty. It's a countdown. So turn off the lights, put your phone face down, and listen, because when the snow begins to fall, you'll want to remember how to run. I don't expect anyone to believe me. I just need to say it out loud before the first snow falls again. Where I come from, winter isn't just a season, it's a warning. Every year on the day of the first snowfall, we run. It's not a festival, not some old tradition. It's survival. The date is announced weeks in advance, printed on billboards, broadcast on the news, scrolling across the bottom of TV screens in red letters. First snowfall expected November 12th. Prepare accordingly. Nobody questions it anymore. We mark it on calendars, we cancel plans, we stock up lockdown and wait. Then, when that first white flake touches the ground, we run. No one says why. No one dares to. Because we all know what happens if you stop. The day before the snow, the whole town goes still. Schools close early. Stores lock their doors. No flights, no deliveries, no traffic in or out. It feels like the calm before a storm, except it's not the weather we're afraid of. Everyone has their own way of preparing. Some pack light bags with water and gloves. Others map routes through back roads and fields, any path that keeps them moving. Parents tighten shoelaces on their children's boots, making sure the soles aren't worn out. There are no sirens, no speeches, no ceremony, just a quiet collective understanding. And then, when the first snowflake falls, we run. I still remember the sound of it, thousands of feet, pounding the frozen ground, a single rhythm shared by an entire town. No shouting, no chaos. Just the soft gasps of breath and the distant hum of something that isn't wind. Because stopping means you disappear. I was 5 the first time I remember running. My mother's hand crushed mine as she dragged me through the snow. The air stung and the cold burned my lungs. I cried, tripped over my feet. She never yelled. She just pulled harder. Behind us, someone screamed. I didn't look back. No one ever did. By the time I was old enough to ask why we ran, I already knew the answer. The stories were older than the town itself. We didn't have ghost tales or boogeymen. We had the wolf walkers. They were the reason we ran things that came with the snow. Not wolves, not men, something in between. If they caught you, you were gone. No body, no trace. My father was one of them. He didn't believe. He had been drinking that night. When my mother tried to wake him, he laughed, said we were all fools chasing shadows. The snow came anyway. We ran without him. I still remember his voice, calling after us, slurred, fading, swallowed by the wind. We never saw him again. By the time I was 9, running had become routine. I'd learned the pace fast enough to live slow enough to breathe. But that year, I made a mistake. Curiosity. That's what did it. They always said never to look back. So I did. At first, I thought I saw people. Figures in the distance moving between the snowflakes, men in heavy coats, faces hidden behind wolf masks. But then I saw their arms. Too long, the flesh dark and peeling like frostburn. Their hands dragged at their sides, fingers twitching, reaching. Their legs bent wrong, like they'd forgotten how to be human. And their faces. The snouts were cracked, their jaws split open where skin should never tear. Rows of teeth grinding against each other, and in the places where eyes should be just hollow black sockets, leaking something that moved. They didn't walk, they drifted, their forms blurred with the falling snow, as if the storm itself carried them forward. One of them turned its head toward me, the jaw split wider and inside. Something pulsed like it was trying to crawl out. I turned away and never looked back again. Years passed. The dates changed, but the pattern never did. Every first snowfall, the world stopped and we ran. Until one winter, my mother couldn't run anymore. She was sick, frail, and thin, her skin pale as the snow itself. The woman who once dragged me through the streets could barely lift a hand. When the alerts came, I backed out of habit, but I couldn't leave her. She saw it in my face. "You can't save me," she whispered. "Please, run." But I didn't. I couldn't. When the first flake fell at 5:46 p.m., I watched it drift from the sky, weightless and pure. Then came the sound, a low rolling hum, deep as thunder. The signal. Outside doors burst open. People ran. A river of bodies flooding the streets. No hesitation. No second thoughts. I lifted my mother in my arms and stepped outside. The cold hit like knives through my coat. Snow whipped across my face, stinging my eyes. I started running. She was so light, but every step burned my muscles raw. The town vanished into a white blur. Behind me, I heard a shift in the air, the temperature dropping fast. Then came the whispers. Not words, not at first, just wind. Almost. Then the voices took shape. Cold, weak, not fast enough. And then a voice I knew. My father's. "You should have run." I stumbled into the woods branches, clawing at my face. Ahead, a small shed half collapsed under the snow. I kicked the door open and fell inside, clutching her close. Silence. The wind howled outside, and something massive moved in the dark. The wood groaned under its weight. I held my breath, pressed my hand over my mother's mouth. We couldn't make a sound. The whispers came again, closer, sharper, circling the shed. Something scraped the wall, and through the cracks I saw it. A shape, hunched and towering. Fur hanging in clumps. Arms too long. Skin splitting around the knuckles, black veins pulsing underneath. It tilted its head toward the door. It knew we were there. My mother's hand suddenly gripped my face, forcing me to look at her. Her eyes were clear for the first time in months. She smiled. Then she stood, her body trembling, barely holding itself together. And she screamed, a sound so raw it cut through the storm itself. The creature turned, lunged toward her. The door shattered, and she was gone. When I woke, I was alone. The storm had passed. The world was silent still, as if nothing had ever happened. I stepped outside. The snow was untouched, no footprints, no blood, no sign of her at all. I walked until I reached the town. People were back in their homes, windows glowing warm behind curtains. No one spoke about those who didn't return. They never do. I ran every year after that. Even when my legs burned, even when I couldn't breathe, I ran for her. For everyone who never made it back. But I'm old now. My body doesn't move like it used to. The first snowfall is coming again, November 23rd. It's strange. I'm not afraid anymore. I sit by the window, the sky dark and heavy. Then I see it, a single snowflake drifting down. Beautiful. A shadow passes across the glass. Not fast, just moving. It lingers. And then I feel a warmth spreading through the cold, a presence I haven't felt in decades. I close my eyes, I smile, and I say nothing. If you ever hear it, that low humming wind that isn't quite wind, you'll know the first snow has come. Maybe you'll laugh it off. Maybe you'll tell yourself it's just a story, that things like this don't happen anymore. But when the world goes quiet and the air turns sharp and you feel the weight of eyes in the storm, don't stop to look. Don't turn around. Just run. Because the snow remembers, and so do they. This has been NightLore, where every story leaves something behind. Sleep well, if you can.